Sometimes when you speak, you get frozen, you freeze, you get blocked. You feel like you have an idea that you want to say, but you can't find the words, you can't find the vocabulary or the grammar, and you feel very frustrated. It is very frustrating indeed. So, what can you do? I'm going to share with you some tips that you can start practicing in order to overcome this barrier. But remember, this is something that has happened to everyone. Any person who has become fluent in English has gone through that process or has gone or experienced that situation. I myself had to endure that in the past when I was living in the UK. So this is what you have to do. There are 5 very important steps that you need to start practicing. This is not something that you're going to fix magically. This is only going to be achieved if you put it into practice, if you practice and practice. It needs to become a habit. So what is the first thing that you have to do? Great communication starts with active listening. Active listening is the first thing that you need to put into practice. People think that we learned when we speak, but I'm afraid that that's not true. You learned when you listen. Listen to native speakers. Listen to the way they build their sentences, the vocabulary they use, the verb tenses that they use, the grammar that they use. You need to pay full attention to the way they do that. Okay, so once you have been listening and paying attention to the grammar and everything, the next thing that you have to do is to stop and think in your head what you want to say. Give yourself time to respond or to speak because we know that we have a lot of ideas popping into our heads. We think lots of things and then we want to communicate them. But the best way to control that is by breathing and thinking. Then you have to make sure that when you know what you want to say, you finish your sentences. If you start a sentence, you must finish that sentence. What happens is that if you keep changing what you're saying because lots of ideas are coming into your head, you are going to get confused. You are going to complicate your grammar. You're going to need a lot of vocabulary. So finish every sentence and make sure that your sentences are not very long. This is my third step. You have to make sure that your sentences are not very long. Try to use 2 or 3 connectors and so, because, and then when you finish your sentence, pause and then begin the second sentence and do the same thing. Don't make them too long. So simplify your sentences, use less connectors, and use pauses. Intonation is very important. When you use pauses and sentences that are not very long, your audience will be able to understand you better, but you will also be able to build the sentences that you need. If a very complicated idea comes into your head, you need to take the time to think of a way to simplify that idea. The problem is that sometimes when we speak, we try to give a lot of information, we try to give a lot of details, especially if we are Spanish. You know, Spanish people, we love saying the same thing in different ways. We build very long sentences with lots of vocabulary, and we have that feeling that we need to over explain. So you need to stop that. You don't need to over explain things, just simplify it and let your audience ask you if they don't understand something. So, first step, listen. Second one, think before you speak. Third one, finish your sentences. Fourth one, make sure your sentences are not very long. It is a great idea to familiarize yourself with the different types or structures of sentences. I'm talking about simple sentences, compound sentences, complex sentences, and compound complex sentences. Because if you get familiar with those structures, you will be able to build the sentences in your head applying the right grammar. And the fifth one is pause. Pause in between sentences. This will give your audience the time to absorb the information and will also allow them to ask you any questions if they need to understand something better. But it will also give you the opportunity to think about your next steps or your next sentences. So put this into practice. At the beginning, it's not going to be easy. And like everything, it requires patience, but consistency is the key. I can guarantee you that if you apply these steps or this technique, you will start seeing progress very soon. And people will understand you. Because sometimes when we speak, and if we overcomplicate our ideas, people it's not really clear on what you're saying. They're gonna be asking what, or basically you just freeze. That is my advice. What do you think about that? Have you ever considered doing these things when you speak? And remember, speaking very quickly doesn't mean that you are fluent or that you communicate very well. In fact, I believe that great communication is about having the right speed when you speak, using the right intonation, the right body language, and organizing the information, articulating your ideas in the right way, organizing the information in the right blocks. For example, if you want to talk about something, explain something, use a framework. A framework is like organizing the information in different blocks. Like, for example, what are you talking about? Why are you talking about that thing? Or the benefits of doing that thing. And the third thing is, how do you do it? So, what, why, and how. That is already a framework in itself that will help you organize the information. You can also consider having always an introduction, then developing the idea that you introduce in the introduction, and then a conclusion. You must always have that introduction, put people into context, then develop the idea, the main body of your message, and then a conclusion like, what's your opinion? Or throw in any questions that you may want to ask people. Frameworks are very important, but I'll make another video about that. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you find this information useful. If you want more tips on how to improve your communication skills, don't forget to subscribe and let me know in the comment sections what problems you have when you speak English, and I'll try to help you with that. I'll try to make some videos to help you overcome those barriers and those challenges. Bye.